On August 11th, Amichai Hikli, the Minister of Diaspora Affairs of Israel, sent an email to the President's office in Cyprus addressed to the Minister of Interior Konstantinos Ioannou and to the Minister of Justice Marios Chatsiotis. The subject of the letter was titled, Addressing Recent Incidents of Violence Against Jewish Communities. In the letter, Amichai Hikli begins by outlining these concerns and proposes avenues for cooperation in addressing this urgent matter. He expresses his appreciation, but he notes, quote, despite commendable activity by municipal authorities and the police, in recent months, Cyprus has witnessed several anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli incidents, particularly in the context of the war in Gaza. Well, Mr. Hikli, the only violent actions I saw was an Israeli attacking and spitting on peaceful protesters and an Israeli IDF soldier writing "Fuck Gaza" and drawing a male organ over the graffiti depicting a starving Palestinian child. Is that the violent action you're referring to? He goes on to describe these incidences, which resulted in his intervention. The word genocide, styled like the Coca-Cola logo, the image of Netanyahu with the phrase wanted, the Palestinian flag flying with two heart-shaped balloons, the word Gaza with red paint dripping, resembling blood and a child sitting under it, a red paint container with the word genocide on its label, and the Israeli flag with the Nazi swastika replacing the Star of David and the slogan New Nazi Scum on top of it. The letter alleges that a graffiti with the word genocide, with J, was cited in Limni Doc, but failed to provide proof of that. So the violence was the graffiti. He notes that in the incident in Larnaca, the graffiti was promptly removed in coordination with the police. In Limassol, the graffiti of the image of Israel's Prime Minister with the phrase wanted was removed within days. Bravo to the municipality of Limassol for removing the graffiti. Mr. Hikli, if you are not aware, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Mayakovsky, he changed his Polish name, he is now Netanyahu, is wanted by the International Criminal Court. So you are upset because somebody wrote the truth. The phrase New Nazi Scum, which also upset the Israeli government alongside other hostile graffiti in Paphos, he notes, was also removed. Mr. Hikli, why are you offended by the word Nazi, which was spelt wrongly, I must admit? I will file a complaint so they write it correctly the next time. Didn't the Nazis murder people and try to ethnically cleanse entire populations based on religion, color, ethnicity, and sexual orientation? Are you not ethnically cleansing an entire population based solely on the fact that they are Palestinian? And have you not been dehumanizing and targeting an entire population for the past 80 years at least? What is different to what you are doing today? Oh yes, I forgot. The Nazis did it to you, so it was not okay. But you are doing it to the Palestinians, so that makes it okay. Should Elam or the Golden Dawn in Greece also be filing complaints to the police when the term is assigned to them? It's political criticism, and it is not related to anybody's race or religion, so it is not anti-Semitism. Mr. Hikli goes on to say that Israel recognizes that freedom of expression is a core democratic value, just not when it comes to the ethnic cleansing in Palestine and genocide in Gaza, Mr. Hikli, correct? He says these groups doing the graffiti represent a marginal minority in our society. Think again, Amichai Hikli. We are not a minority. We are the majority, and we will fight back. However, he continues, when our actions manifest as incitement and hate speech targeting entire communities, decisive enforcement is essential. We are not targeting entire communities, Mr. Hikli. We are criticizing the state of Israel. If that offends you, then stop killing children. Mr. Hikli proposes to the ministers various actions, including increased enforcement against hate crimes and incitement, ensuring perpetrators are brought to justice. So an Israeli minister is proposing that we are brought to justice for opposing a genocide. Mr. Hikli, the day will come when you and your Prime Minister and the genocide enablers in the Cypriot government will be brought to justice. By the way, is wearing a keffiyeh anti-Semitic and a hate crime too? Just asking, as I regularly wear one. So what would you think that the President's office did? In an independent sovereign state, the President's office should have sent an email back returning the letter as unacceptable, saying that Cyprus is a sovereign state and that it would deal with matters such as internal affairs without being told what to do. No. Nikos Christodoulidis just passed it on to the Ministers of Justice and Interior with instructions to instruct municipal authorities to remove the graffiti which upsets the Israeli government. Neither the President nor the Interior Minister cared about the fact that they had no right to instruct the municipal authorities to do anything at all, and that by doing so, they are violating the law. This isn't the first time that a twisted perception of anti-Semitism is used to curb criticism against Israel as anti-Semitic. As early as March 2023, human rights organizations across the globe, including Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, the International American Civil Liberties Union, and several Jewish organizations have warned of a politically motivated instrumentalization of anti-Semitism in an effort to muzzle legitimate speech and activism by critics of Israel's human rights record and advocates for Palestinian rights. There is no legal definition of anti-Semitism. There are, however, 5 working definitions of anti-Semitism. All working definitions clarify that criticizing the State of Israel's policies is not anti-Semitic. In fact, one of the definitions clarifies that anti-Semitism should not be used as a weapon to curtail free speech, especially when calling out injustice. There is, however, a legally binding definition for hate speech, which was delivered by the EU through the Framework Decision on Racism and Xenophobia. And according to this, hate speech is the public incitement to violence or hatred directed against a group defined on the basis of race, color, descent, religion or belief, or national or ethnic origin. The definition does not assign the term hate speech to criticism against war crimes committed by a state. Such criticism clearly falls within the legal definition of freedom of expression protected by the European Convention of Human Rights, our national constitution, and the EU Charter for Fundamental Rights. The European Court of Human Rights has repeatedly emphasized that freedom of expression is paramount in a democratic society and applies not only to information or ideas that are favorably received or regarded as inoffensive, but also to those that offend, shock, or disturb. A government that receives instructions from a foreign power to suppress freedom of expression of its own citizens in order to curb political criticism is in fact violating all these instruments. The Framework Convention on Racism and Xenophobia in fact defines that the denial of or gross trivialization of the crimes of genocide, of crimes against humanity and war crimes as hate speech, which is precisely what the Christodoulidis government and the Israeli embassy representatives have been doing since the beginning of this genocide. When an entire government places the interests of a foreign power above the interests and freedoms of its own people, that same government is a threat to democracy and on the verge of becoming an autocracy.